backing off up the escape road. Greg Ritter's involved in that.
And Dean Canto as well.
Who nearly flick-turned right into the door of the 0-0 car. And very difficult to get that number of cars through these tight corners in the opening lap. So it is Scaife from Ambrose. Stephen Richards got a very good jump up to third. He's in the hunt. Jason Bright has dropped back a little bit. Cameron McConville starting to wander across the road to hold position as they come down to turn 8.
That's the sweeper, the one that you saw Neil talking about. 240 kilometres in and about 206 kilometres is the exit speed. Turn 9 they go, back up to Wakefield Street. This is the technical part, the rear part of the circuit. This is where we'll see some danger later on in the race. But right now, they're all trying to keep clear and keep these things straight to complete the first lap of Sunday race day.
Rick Kelly's the one in the Kmart car having a look, and there goes Richards down the inside of Ambrose, and Bright buys in as well. Stephen Johnson too. So change for position before they cross the start-finish line at the end of one, and a big margin to Scaife, whose standing lap time is a 1:31.9.
You can see on your Shell Helix race update, Scaife, Stephen Richards, Marcus Ambrose, Jason Bright, Stephen Johnson are your top 5. Then it was Todd Kelly, Russell Ingall, Greg Murphy, Cameron McConville and Rick Kelly make up our top 10. Up they go Wakefield Street again. This is where we saw quite a few dramas yesterday. A little puff of smoke out of the back of Anthony Tratt. And on the inside, Stephen Ellery took that line aggressively. Oh, someone's in there with a flame.
Oh, in goes one of the Team Dynamic cars. There must be something on the road up there. So car 45 heavily into the back. That's Jason Richards, and that's very likely a safety car incident. Heavy contact, nose to tail, in the tyre barrier on the exit of 4.
Well,
Richards came along a long time afterwards for that to happen.
We saw Anthony Tratt.
Yellow flag, safety car, standby.
That's Tim Schenken there in race control, and you can see them go straight into action. It's quite an extraordinary view that we've been given in there. So yellow flags, safety car conditions, and Anthony Tratt is okay, which is the good news. His car is a completely different story. And poor old Jason Richards, oh, he throws up his hands, Tratt. Now, you watch the first incident that goes on here. That is Dean Canto getting into a little bit of trouble, and Greg Ritter.
Well, he had one of the FPR cars stuck in behind him. Here comes the second incident here. You can see that Tratt's already gone in, and whack, goes Richards. And that's very strange. He might have just gone wide onto the dust and the marbles on the outside of the turn. That's Anthony Tratt just removing his helmet in the foreground, and the trucks will have to drag those cars free. Here it is again. Now we're looking for the yellow and white toll entry, and he's still coming into view here. Here he is on race line, locks the inside front. He's on his own here. I think he's just ended up carrying too much speed. So he's actually just made a blue across the bump.
Now here comes Jason Richards. Stephen Ellery's gone through, and then Jason Richards follows.
I don't know what the Richards thing was, but I think Tratty just found his way there on his own, but then Jason Richards arrives. Now, he actually may have had some aggravation there with Mark Noske. Hard to pick. Referring to was just coming to terms with a difference in the performance there and understanding how to get the most from it.
Rodney Forbes takes the exit route at
4.
Yeah, Wakefield Street. Yesterday, he got himself tangled up there, and also down in the kitty litter, and that car number 7 came back looking like
around, which unweighted one of the front tyres when he had a lot of brake pressure on it. Locked, carted him wide. Marcus had the invitation, got the job done.
So Marcus Ambrose slots up into 3rd position. Stephen Richards drops back into 4th.
Oh, look at this.
Now
look at this.
Turn 4 again. Oh, that's the end of Jason Bargwanna. Can he hold on to it? Craig Lowndes a victim as well. Well, they didn't hit anything. Rodney Forbes decides to keep on driving down the middle of Adelaide, effectively, but he rejoins. We need to dissect this and see what happened, but Bargwanna was first to go, and around the outside of him, evasive action from Craig Lowndes.
McConville getting out of everybody's way. It's got a little bit frantic back in the pack here, and you could see that Bargwanna got crossed up, but somebody was into the side or the back of that car to make that happen. So when we see the replay, there'll be more to tell in that story. But that was amazing and crazy stuff for sort of 12, 13, 14.
Oh, there was contact there with Rodney Forbes.
Forbes and Bargwanna. Lowndes was down the inside, and he had a little bit of Dumbrell into the back of him as well.
How on earth Craig Lowndes got out of that, I'll never know.
Well, that scattered the pack. There might even be more to it if you were able to get into the 23s. Safety car out. One of the Shell cars has buried itself into the gravel.
Yeah, that's Max Wilson at turns 1 and 2, so he's missed it completely and gone straight ahead.
That will certainly...
Look at his windscreen. Sorry there, Neil. Something has collected Max Wilson and
his
definitely...
eyes. He's got something in his eyes here. He's got glass in his eyes.
Yeah. So we're not really sure exactly what's happened there, but Max Wilson is in a fair bit of pain down at turn 1. You can see that something has shattered in the windscreen. He's asking for water from the crowd or from a marshal. The Brazilian in his second year of V8 Supercar racing, former Formula 1 test driver and champ car driver. He's got a cut hand there. So some damage not only to the race car, but the race driver. Max Wilson has had big trouble at turn 1. Watch this car come in from the right-hand side of your screen. He should park it effectively, so the damage has taken place well and truly before that. That was the end of the situation.
Very hard to understand what's occurred there.
So maybe something has shattered.
There's a huge hole at the top of the screen. If you look carefully where the signage is, you'll see
it's already happened, so something's hit him up the main straight, or possibly before.
Something's come off another car. I think that's one of the cars that's got the tear-off system on the windscreen as well, and there's what I told you.
Yeah, a rock or something has gone straight through the cab charge sign.
It'd be the little shards of glass that have gone back into his eyes, I imagine.
The question is what hit him. There's really not too many stones and rocks and various rubbish around this track, if you like, but the tractor pulls off Max Wilson's car at turn 1 and 2. That'll be the end of his day.
That is the flying bit of debris on the right in the middle of your screen there, on the right-hand side.
It looks like a bit of an under tray or perhaps a bit of a rear wing. It's too far away to fully identify, but whatever it was, it's come plummeting out of the heavens and clouted the windscreen on this car, caved it in up the top there, and Max has basically beached it on his own. And that'd be a pretty bizarre thing to have happen in the cockpit. And we are trying desperately at the moment to ascertain what it is that's hit this car.
Well, the way to do that, the best that we can do at the moment is to just shuffle back through the field and see which cars have pieces and bits missing off them. And we've managed to track down one. Now, look at Craig Baird's car there. They're pulling a piece off the left rear. Do they get it all off? That's the question.
Yeah,
We're not saying that this is exactly the problem, but...
and that's you can see where the bit is. It's in his hand. It's certainly not in the middle of the road. And the bit, it's very difficult to tell, but the stuff that I saw dropping on the road before looked bigger than that. It looked like a cord section from a wing, or it looked like it could have been an under tray or a component or part of the under tray. But it did, I reckon it had signage on it. So if anything, look, I don't know.
Fingerprints. Go down and get some fingerprints off it. But let's just have another look and see if we can really find out what's happened, because we can obviously see what the effect is. The cause, we're not really sure where it came from. So that's Paul Radicic going through. His car looks pretty clean and intact. Paul Dumbrell's got a bit of damage, but nothing to speak of. Then Dean Cantor goes through. Now, this is when we decided the problem just came to...
There's a bit that's just landed.
Yeah, so...
And there's another bit. And it's that's a very substantial bit of something. Very difficult to work out what it is. It's black and it's big, and it's enough to do pretty substantial screen damage.
The bottom line is that
Garth, and got it done nicely. Oh, more problems for Jason Bright. Locks the rears and parks at an odd angle. The yellow flag flies. He'd just been given a message to bring it home, but he's really struggling with the rear end of that car and has dropped a bundle of placings.
Oh, look at the amount of spots that he just lost there. I saw Cameron McConville go past, and he was in position 31. So Jason Bright has rejoined all the way down the tail of the field. Effectively, I'd say around 30th position. It'll trigger over. The pit window, by the way, is now officially closed at the end of lap 57.
Contact here, big trouble in the final corner. There were people going every which way. More trouble between Richards and Ambrose. And Ambrose makes a move into 4, still side by side with Richards, who hangs on to 5.
Marcus Ambrose has come back from this restart and gone shoulder to shoulder, not only with Mark Skaife, but now Stephen Richards. While Ambrose was tangling on one of the Valvoline Cummins cars. That's Jamie Whincup at turn 4. Look at the smoke pouring out of another one as it goes through. So Jamie Whincup wedged into the tyre barrier there at turn 4, trying to get it out. He's in reverse. Safety car has come out again.
which will mean that off the back of the safety car, you'll get another lap of chaos when everybody tries to relaunch. So, and this is like a repeating cycle. But, great to watch. Not so much fun to participate in, depending on whether you're a winner or a loser. And here is Craig Baird with the damage. Now, that happened at turn 14 on the previous lap. We didn't quite get all of it, and here it is. There's aggravation in the last corner, and I can't work out who the other car is that's half turned around in front of him. Is that the 00 Ritter car?
I think that might have been. Yeah,
it is.
Greg Ritter.
And he's complaining of some power steering issues as well with that car. Round he goes, and that's because Beardo was into the back of it, and Greg picks up the throttle to try and limit the backwards motion of the car. And now he's up and away.
He did an amazing job to get that car home yesterday in 22nd position, albeit, but Greg Ritter has had serious back problems in this this event. We understand that he might have done it moving furniture throughout the week. He's been having intensive physiotherapy. He had a lot of trouble with the feeling in his legs, would you believe it? And he managed to complete 78 laps.
This is why we had the safety car out for the 4th time today. There was a little touch, Canto and Whincup. Whincup, of course, went straight on.
Now you hear these drivers say, let's these things go off. This is what happened to Jason Bright at turn 9. Locked up the rears and away he went.
Always hard to know precisely, but this is another angle from the back of Greg's car. And in the end, Brighty decided that it was better to get to the left, otherwise he would have clouted the back of GT's car. And the back of and one of the better electrical cars has tagged the wall on the exit of 7.
Yep,
and that looks like Canto. And I'd say that's pretty substantial damage around the back of the car. Marcus Ambrose last time through, and you can see it's punched the diff right across, and it's actually flared the guard on the left rear side.
Got some news for you. Marcus Ambrose has a flat.
That's why the car was sliding through 8 that time. And look at Johnson.
Stephen Johnson's also got problems, but look at them ganging up.
Still up, mate. Your tyre's still up.
Look at them ganging up on Marcus Ambrose. He thinks he's got a flat tyre.
It's just
Crew's telling him the tyre's still up.
Not quite right.
Saying something not quite right.
I've just had a flashback to Phillip Island, and there is Stephen Ellery at turn 8 as his car shuts down, the 31 car. Flashback to Phillip Island when Marcus Ambrose was holding off Mark Scaife, and he radioed back that he had a flat tyre. They said exactly the same thing to him. Don't worry, let's see what happens to Stephen Ellery as we try and work out whether Marcus does have a flat or doesn't. Something's gone spearing off a wheel nut.
Lost a wheel nut off the front right, and therefore the front right wheel has parted company. Actually, it's cut the rim in half. The rotor's gone straight through the rim. And that will bring out the safety car, which it has done, and that will give Marcus Ambrose a reprieve, because what's happening there is the rear tyres have gone greasy, they've gone off. He's suspecting that he had a flat tyre as Stephen Ellery climbs out of the super cheap car, the three-wheeler. And
but the big question now, and it is a massive one, is what does Marcus Ambrose do? That's the Stephen Ellery situation, still to clear this track.
And the Ambrose situation is through on the inside.
He's become something of a turn 14 pest, Russell Ingall. He's been down there bothering everybody. Stephen Johnson's had big trouble. Stephen Johnson with front and rear damage at turn 14. So he has completely missed the Mistral hairpin and found himself in the wall. Look at that, and Marcus Ambrose too. Marcus Ambrose parks it at turn 10 and escapes from the hatch. On lap 75 of 78, he didn't think the car would make it there anyway to the end. And now it's official, Marcus Ambrose.
Look at the damage on Stephen's car. So there's been some crazy stuff unfolding in the last couple of laps.
We've got to try and finish at the end of the race here, mate.
Oh, the front end's completely and utterly gone. They're up for a big check when it comes to front splitters. Shell Helix Racing, they've had their troubles with Max Wilson.
There's going to be garbage all over the road, debris, so there's a puncture risk for everybody out there.
You can see some coolant possibly pouring out the front there of Stephen Johnson's car, and that really is a sad story for Junior Johnson, because he climbed his way up through the field. They've had their problems. This will explain the story. Now, Stephen Johnson has lost control as he comes into turn 14. He's carrying a whole heap of speed. Contact with the wall, slam again on the back.
Looked like he did that all on his own too, so... and Russell Ingall, meanwhile, has gone to position 3. Yep, he did it on his own. He got crossed up in there too hot and has whacked the concrete on the outside, and it's pretty unforgiving. He's been shown the meatball flag, the black flag with the orange disc on it, and that means that quite obviously there's something hanging off the car and he must report to the pit. And
now on the right rear there, you can see debris flapping in the wind.
I want to have a look at that again if we can, and just be sure that there was no contact.
So, the BA Falcon versus the VX Commodore. Up around 5. Another right-hander to 6. 130 kilometres an hour. They punch it out towards turn 7.
Oh, he's locked
Is
the
there
brakes.
room on the
He's
inside?
tagged. He
Buddy.
goes. I heard him lock the brakes and he's tagged Murphy. And Russell's going to end up in strife on that one, I think.
Oh, Greg Murphy was dicing with Russell Ingall. Definite contact. Amazing that Paul Wheel managed to miss him by inches as he came spearing around 7. Wheel continues to climb up, so take Greg Murphy out of the top 3, put Russell Ingall in and put Paul Wheel in 4. Down to turn 9 they go.
Scafie must just look in the mirror at all this and think how good is all of that stuff.
Well, there's not much that Scafie can see in his mirror because Stephen Richards is 2 seconds behind. In front is nothing but clean bitumen. Here's the onboard replay.
You hear the tyres locked up and he tags him in the right rear corner. Hasn't got far enough up the inside. Murph will be fuming. Russell will probably be cranky with himself. It was a situation where...
And Craig Lowndes has joined that movement as well at the rear of the top 10. Paul Dumbrell goes wide and hits the wall. Does he? No, just missed it by fractions. He was really copying a serve from Lowndes behind him as Lowndes continues his charge up the ladder. So that means that Dumbrell goes back to 9. Lowndes goes up to position. Here's an incident with Max Wilson at turn 4 involving Paul Morris as well.
And they run down the escape road, which in years gone by was the original Phillip Island Grand Prix.
That's something terminal.
That's a surprise because you tested at Eastern Creek in the lead up to this round. This is a fresh engine, is it not?
Yeah, it's a fresh engine, and I don't know why I do all this physical training, Rusty. I can't seem to get past half race distance lately. So, look, the car's just going so strong. It's a credit to the guys to get so much speed out of it. But I don't know what we have to do to finish a bloody race, to be honest. It's getting pretty frustrating.
Hard luck, Cam.
Thanks, mate.
Well, we just saw Greg Murphy wandering out of the green, been off in the paddock for some reason. We'll try and ascertain just exactly what happened there as Greg was talking with Cameron. They ran last Monday at Eastern Creek and tested the Lansvale car. They focused a lot on Phillip Island setup and just what was going on tyre-wise. No, here we go. This is off the bottom of Lukey Heights, and Mark Scaife makes a run down the inside of Greg Murphy, and that explains why Greg was farming out in the green. Whoa. That'll cause a little bit of aggravation, and hasn't been Greg's year so far.
A bit of dirt you can see on the track. Here is an incident involving Mark Noski. Looks as though it's the end of the southern loop at turn 2.
Oh, a huge amount of gravel will go in to the front of the thing. Oh, and actually I think he's going to make it to the wall. He does, so worse than just a bit of gravel in the front of it. Actual damage. You know that it's well and truly time for a wet tyre, and here is a battle between Bright and Ambrose, side by side with Bright in the grass. And what is going on here?
Well, that's incredible. That was right at the entry to pit lane, and now Ambrose has gone 360. Something disastrous has happened there between Jason Bright and Marcus Ambrose. They were our race leaders just as we picked them up, and somehow Jason Bright has got on the inside of him at the entry to pit lane.
Well, I reckon Marcus was trying to pit or something, perhaps, and Bright was committed or just couldn't get across. It's very bizarre, but he certainly was persistent.
No doubt about it.
They both went on with it for a while. Here's the replay. What does it tell us? Bright has a look down the inside. There's the pit lane entry off to the left, but look, I don't know.
If he's trying to block the line, it's certainly way too late to do that and pretty obvious that he's turning across the front of Jason. But I just think that maybe it was a last-minute call, come into the pits, perhaps.
It could have been, yeah, and he may not have known that he was under there. Well,
yeah.
And Kelly running wide on the pit lane entry, couldn't get through that radius corner. Gets out into the green stuff, and it'll go on forever and ever, even at the slower speeds, trying to get these cars under control on a slick tyre. Ambrose is off too. That's up on the approach to Lukey Heights, and if he goes across there, he may not come out the other side.
Yep.
Oh, gasser up, Marcus.
Just.
Oh.
I wonder, Promo, whether he's on slicks.
Oh, Max Wilson finds the grass as well.
Safety car has been deployed. The conditions have become completely treacherous as Dumbrell.
Can he stay in the dirt and stay off the tyres? Only just at the end of that.
He's buried.
So
that is shocking out there at the moment.
Oh, there's lots and lots. Just as we said, we predicted when it comes in buckets here at the island.
Hey, Cameron, this commentary business is not all bad, is it?
It's nice and dry up here.
It's very
bad.
nice.
Now, this is down to turn 4, the exit of turn 3. So this is what happened to Max Wilson. Darryl Beattie's got some news.
I was just going to say, guys, it's I've been to a place like this on 2 wheels, and Neil, you know just as well here, this place is very, very fast, and when you get rain like this, the cars or bikes just start aquaplaning, and there's not much you can really do about it. You hear the cars going down the straight here now, just wheel spinning.
Well, the cars, particularly if you're on slicks, become almost completely undrivable, and we've seen some examples of that.
Well, this will explain the...
They're talking about cleaning the radiator on Marcus's car. There'll be gravel and grass in there.
Marcus has just set a lap record for amount of time on the grass. He was all over the shop there, and will now be able to determine what type of rubber he's got on there as he splashes his way back into pit lane. There you go. Slicks off, finally wets on.
Take 5 for the rain, Marcus. Just be calm, mate. We'll go out there and we'll get some points.
Well, being stuck out there on slicks for that long is just a disaster for him, and that'll knock his position around. He'll have lost a massive amount of time in the last lap or so.
This is at lap 55. We'll go on board with Mark Scaife for the start and see what happened here. No doubt you'll see a blue flash out the left at the moment. There it goes. Marcus Ambrose really shot away, and by this time, Scaife was swamped left and right.
Yeah, Mark just got a pretty bogged down start there, and Bauer's been turned around. That's on the approach to turn 9. Well, when I say he's been turned around, we don't know the circumstances yet. He has turned around is the more correct way of explaining it. Why? It'll be interesting to see what's gone on there. So Ambrose, that was a very good start, and Scaife's the one that's got the work to do. Standing lap time for Marcus Ambrose at 1:38.9. He's got 0.7 of a second over Greg Murphy. And here's the situation. It was Tander trying to sneak up the inside of John Bowe, and around goes JB. Picks the throttle up a little bit to stop the car from getting offline, and very difficult to tell. Tander's up the inside, and the stewards no doubt will look at that and make a determination. The stewards today, Garth Wigston, Peter Svensson and Steve O'Connor. Driving standards observer is Colin Bond. Race director is Tim Schenker. Here is the order, the top 6. And we've got one of the shell cars off. Maxie Wilson is out in the kitty leader. And I understand also that John Bowe, not only in the wars at turn 9 with that spin and collision with Garth Tander, but he has been penalised and judged having crept at the start. He'll be given a drive-through penalty in the Aussie Mail Falcon.
Not what you need at the start of a race, a double blow for the Aussie Mail Racing team. They've made a lot of big noises about doing well here. And this is the incident that saw Max Wilson leave the track.
It's one of the FPR cars that's made contact with him there. And everybody scrambles through. I don't think there was any great cars, great drivers, and Greg Ritter has gone around in the 0-0 entry.
That's the BA Falcon. He's joined with his teammate Rodney Forbes in BAs now, so 0-0 have 2 brand new makes online. Other teams are waiting. I know that Mark Larkham's outfit is waiting for a while before they get theirs in and ready to race. There's not much point in having one BA and one AU in the same team, and this will explain what's happened. That's Mark Noski and Greg Ritter getting tied up there.
He did lock a brake early, remember? And so there she goes there. That's down at turn 7.
Yeah, mate.
And we saw him lock a front right when he was in behind Murphy going into turn 9.
The tyre stop. Rodney Forbes has found more trouble. He's given the BA a real workout.
I think I made mention at some point they ran the car for the first time last Tuesday at Winton, and it broke a pinion in the diff, locked the whole rear end of the car up and almost sent it off into a wall. So nearly a $400,000 brand new car. Escaped unhurt, thankfully.
Everything's good, Marcus.
Marcus in command at the moment, and he has a 10-second margin over Paul Morris. And here's Kelly with another problem. Look at the damage on the front of the car. Enormous damage to the front wing and splitter. He's trawling the gravel here, goes straight ahead. That's up at turn 11 again. And that's going to take a lot of time to resolve. They're going to have to pluck that off, and depends on whether there's any resulting damage to the
Spoiler's gone, mate. We're going to have to rechange that as well.
And to the brake ducting.
Yeah, we got Todd's car. There's quite a lot of coolant coming out the front there too, guys. You can see it spraying out, so it looks like it's done damage to the radiator as well.
Yeah. Just as they pulled in there, they told Todd to get out, it's over. So that's the end of the day for Todd Kelly. He is completely perplexed about the day's events.
Well, it didn't get off the demon on the way in.
Oh, there goes Greg Ritter. That is a big accident. He's lost the front end of that car. The green-eyed monster has no eyes.
Yeah, I'm all right. She just touched the back of the wall. I'll just bring it back slowly.
Oh, I think that's turn 1.
Plucked the splitter right off it and done some damage to the right-hand brake duct. Yeah, exit of turn 1.
I'll have more to say about that in a minute, because here comes Craig Lowndes. In for his second stop.
The thing you've got to be very careful of here, Matthew, is the concrete. Rusty?
Well, Jason Bright is in at the same time, guys. He filed in just ahead of Craig Lowndes. So let's just see what happens here in terms of the stops. Bright is already out. We're waiting for the fuel to keep finishing in the... and Lowndes out now too, but the gap has increased here in pit lane. A good stop by Team Brock.
Yeah, you can see that gap then, Greg. What I was going to make mention of was the fact that the concrete has a different amount of grip to the asphalt, Matthew, so you've got to be super careful when you arrive onto the concrete pad here with your foot jammed on the brake. You don't just skate through and cloud about 3 blokes who, at about 5 o'clock that night, grab you by the scruff of the neck behind the truck and throttle you.
You sound as though you're talking from experience.
Oh, no, never do anything like that.
Now take a look at this Greg Ritter incident. This is at the end of turn 1. Look at the amount of speed he's got through there. Now watch this. He'll hit a ditch here because there's been quite a few in the other categories right there. He loses the front splitter off that car, and he is so lucky not to end up in the wall. The dirt, of course, is designed to slow them down. It does so, but look at the amount of speed he's carrying into that.
Well, I can tell you what it is. It's just on 200 kilometres an hour. Looked like he just got wide onto the marbles. How that thing didn't actually roll is a miracle. And then there's that little culvert that you talk about at the end there, Matthew, and it's plucked the splitter off the front of it. And
he was lucky, probably in a sense, that he did go so deep into there, because here's Brad Jones.
Yeah, and Bradley's got a problem with that car, and I think...
I'm going to leave it here.
He's had enough of that one.
You can't drive it, just leave it there, hop out of it.
Well, you can't email it back. And Schaefer's going to go for slicks. Unbelievable circumstances for the reigning champion. And we were on board then with Ellery. We heard the big in the background as he locked the rear brakes going to turn 9. And here's some slick tyres awaiting Mark Scaife. And this will tumble him so far out of contention that he'll be further back than fullback.
Behind the sticks, Darryl Beattie.
See the
Mark's come back in here again. Obviously that weather that looked like it was going to come upon us with the big downpour is now gone, and the wet weather tyres have come off and they've gone back to slick. So just having a bit of a look here at the wets. One of the tyres that's come off, like you said, Neil, normally they tear up and ball up quite quick and get all loose and mushy in the car, but they still don't look too bad at this stage.
Well, the Holden Racing Team pit crew has had to work overtime today. One of their cars won't make it, or didn't make it, and now Mark Scaife has been in and out of there. This is the Stephen Ellery incident. Whee!
Managed to hit nothing, and for some reason they've gone back to fitting manual. Strathfield
incident.
replay, and we've got Bowie. He'll have damaged the fronts out of that, I reckon.
Stanley's blown an engine in that. Well, I want to see what's happened here. This is Paul Wheels' incident.
Oh, it's the exit of turn 4. And
he's done a rear off the back.
Yeah, he's come straight across the inside of 5 there. And
Gary Woodward, who brings with him some Formula 1 experience. Oh, that's Cameron McConville and Mark Noske, the Sydney-based Landsmail team. A smart company, and this is another incident involving Dean Cando. He's already been off-road once.
Rear brakes all locked up into the hairpin at turn 9. Only just touches the grass.
Pole position. I understand somebody's gone off. Yes, that is Jason Richards.
I'm sorry.
In Team Dynamic, and that was in the approach to turn 11 along that back straight. On Friday qualifying, both Team Dynamic cars had a couple of offs.
Well, on Friday, the number of people that actually went off the circuit was amazing. I began to make a list, because not that often do you see people go off, but the list ended up being that long. I threw the bit of paper away. There were more people that had gone off than hadn't gone off, and you can see here that Richards is giving a helping hand at turn number 10, that one is, and it was one of the Orcon cars that did the damage there.
Yeah, it was Jason Bargwana, just tagged him on the rear left, spun him around, and quite a few had...
Moore and Anthony Tratt slides off in the Toll IPEC racing entry. Been very wet here, not in the recent days, but in the recent past, and so if you go too far off, then you're going to be in real trouble. Apparently there was a plug lead off Mark Larkin's car, and that's what delayed him in the pits. The point that I was going to make is that if you're much further than about 36 seconds behind the leader on this racetrack, you run the danger of going one lap down, and that is a disaster as the afternoon and strategy unfolds.
Here's Garth Tander, who was out-qualified by his younger teammate, and the incident involving Anthony Tratt side by side with Rodney Forbes, but no contact, just a pirouette. Incident involving David Bernard.
This is up at turn 7. He gets off onto the exit ripple strip there, just past turn 6, and once you get out there, that's marbly, and the Vallelunga curbing slippery, and he just ended up in all sorts of strife, and he went off for turn 5 as well, and he's having a real disaster afternoon at the moment, and you can see that it kind of, from first glimpse, looks okay out there until you try and guide a V8 supercar through there, and there's plenty of little culverts. And
stop. The reason why the safety car came out is this. Now, Jamie Whincup is on the right-hand side of Simon Wills. Wow.
Yeah, what happened was Whincup went wide at 1, and Simon Wills thought that there may be an opportunity to pass, but Whincup gathered it back up and got on with it. That put Wills in the marbles. No grip out there. I don't think there was any contact made. And look, he tried to make an opportunity work for him here, but there wasn't contact, and look at that, he's on the brakes, there's no grip, and Greg's got more.
Change the left rear tyre. Change the left rear tyre.
Neil, there's enormous damage down the left-hand side of the car. They've had the dent puller out. Both the passenger and rear door on car 44 on the left-hand side are being worked on.
And the front of it, the front of the
You can hear the frantic talk to Simon Wills. This is a real disappointment for Team Dynamic given their performance at East.
And Greg Avesco looking at the car saying you're going to have to tape that up. They've already done what they need to do with the left rear taillight assembly. Let's just yank it out and pitch it. But, and you can see that there's a bit of chaos down there.
The safety car, Neil. The safety car is coming onto the front straight, so they're trying to get back out again.
Yeah. There needs to be less screaming and less chaos in that show, and just calm things down. They've got a pressure situation, and the aim of the game is to obviously get the car calmly repaired, get it back out, get it in front of the leader, don't go a lap down. Oh, and we've got Paul Morris into the wall. I think that could be at the exit of turn 3. And that, I reckon, may... Oh, no, it's actually up at 7. Between 6 and 7. So that may or may not trigger a safety car. What Marcus was saying is he split the difference with his rear bar, anti-roll bar adjustment. So he's got in the marbles there for Paul, and he's gone straight across the grass, which doesn't arrest the car, but the gravel does, thankfully, and he scoots just past the edge of those tires. A little bit like Eastern Creek and Wakefield's gone off between 6 and 7. No, that is turn 3. Not too good with my picks on the corner numbers today.
You spent too many years going around here in circles. By my count, Cromley, I think 20 or 21 cars Out of the 33 now that are racing. Oh, yeah, good work is...
Scapey getting aggressive there with either Canto or Radicic. Sorry,
20 or 21 of those 33 cars that are out on the track have completed both of their stops. Bradley Jones is missing the front end of the Aussie Mail Falcon.
The whole air dam's come off that car, and there'll be more to that story as well. And I was about to make... Oh, and one of the HRT cars went straight ahead at 10. And it's Todd Kelly. Second race meeting in a row that's been a tough one for him. He was already held up in pit lane.
Oh, there's all sorts of drama
oil or
there.
something down there. There must be a reason why people are firing into the paddock. Look at the debris on the exit of the corner down there. Massive amount of junk on the road.
Well, I wonder if Brad Jones has left something behind on his way through. It makes you wonder, because Todd Kelly just came in and just went straight ahead. There's the wreckage from the Aussie Mail front splitter. Brad Jones left it behind on the infield. And that's at the sweeper. That would have been a high-speed activity at the Holden Racing Team. Big turn. Contact between Marcus Ambrose and Max Wilson. He's in the thick of it today. 360s it back onto the track. Didn't look as though it was too nasty in terms of damage to anyone. That's at turn 7 again. So 2 times the last couple of laps, Max Wilson has been caught up in trouble.
Oh, look at that. That's a tough one to call. A tough one to call, because Marcus actually got further past him there in the initial approach. He did get beyond the B pillar, but then he had to try and get out of it a bit. They're the ones that give the stewards and the race team owners and the drivers real heartache, because obviously, depending on which colour you wear, you have a strong view, but they're very difficult to call. And Marcus may well have seen Craig pull that move off successfully a couple of laps earlier. And Dick Johnson will be jumping up and down. Max Wilson will be jumping up and down. You need to look at that, not only from that one angle either, and this is the other test for the stewards. And actually, incidentally, called before that Stephen Priest was the clerk. Of course, he's not this weekend. It's Bruce Robertson. But this is the stuff that the officials have got to contend with. They've got to really take into account varying views. Avesco are actually considering and working on at the moment onboard cameras for the cars in each car, so that the judicial process can be more accurately adjudicated. See, well, this is the spot where it happened, up at turn 7. There's a little opportunity in there on the very inside to sneak through sometimes if the guy leaves a little hole, and that's what Max did. It was an invitation to Marcus, and he got in there, and then it got messy. I'm on those tyres. Oh, here's Russell getting crossed up, trying to make ground. Gee, he was a long way down the left-hand side, and that was why Canto lost that splitter in turn 1. So whilst the strategy worked for Craig Lowndes, so he's got much younger rubber on that car, and he's putting it to good effect.
Whoa!
Gotcha!
Whoa.
Now poor old Craig, this is a weird one, and everybody involved in this is going to be hating it. Craig, because his car stepped sideways without any problem. Yeah, and
that was Murphy.
Yes. Yes. That's right.
Rob's onto it, mate. Press on, press on. Rob's onto it.
Well, the radio conversation's telling the whole story. CL got crossed up.
Get them to clarify with his team. He's onto it, he's down there.
Greg's in a panic because he's worried. This is what I was about to allude to. He's worried that he'll be blamed for having nailed him. Here's the replay. And what happened was that Craig got sideways, and then Murph did make contact, but it was only after Craig got crossed up. Then the contact happened. Here's another angle, so this one's covered by lots of angles and wallop. The onboard camera tells the story the best. The shots from outside the car make it look a bit damning. But on board, you see that Craig got very crossed up on the approach. Actually, car stepped here.
Well, I think it's boiling inside that Kmart cabin at the moment. Todd Kelly here in car number 2. Down in 13th. The reason why he's had a spin at turn 7. So he would have lost a couple of positions, make that about 15th by the time he gathers it together. So we welcome you back to Winton. Is in 5th position now, courtesy of this move on Craig Lowndes at turn 7 once again. Lowndes, incidentally, his times are dropping. This was door-to-door action that continued around 8.
Incidentally, Matthew, remember we talked before about him having recorded the fastest lap of the race? That was simultaneous with the moment with Greg Murphy. It was because he rejoined another.
20 a bal 2 tempo, 25-re bal 2 szűk, bal 2 szűk, és bal 2, és bal 2, majd 50-re jobb 2, itt a bal 2, és 50-re jobb 2, jobb 2, majd szűk 50-re jobb 3 az aszfaltra, szűk 50-re jobb 3 az aszfaltra.